likes to watch as the sky darkens and the lightning flashes out at the edges of the sea. Once a waterspout formed over the bay, crossed the causeway on the right, and plowed through a stand of pines on the mainland. Mostly, however, it is the sun shining on the water, and he likes that best of all. Time ago he awoke early enough to see the large cargo ships lumbering out of the harbor at high tide. Time before that he was on a boat himself, sailing into the harbor. Sails at full mast, the prow sending spray over him and his children, Julia complaining, the sailors cursing. It was the greatest morning of his life. Nothing but wide sky and stars and the future ahead. At 5 o'clock, Nurse brings to the rolling table by his chair a tray with several jars of baby food, some warm, some cool. She is a master of efficiency. Everything placed on the tray in its proper order: the bib, the jars, the spoon, the towel, the plastic juice bottle, like a child's, in the shape of a bear. She opens the first jar, split pea with ham, swirls it with a teaspoon a few times, then tests it for warmth by tapping some on the back of her hand. Amadeo Terra follows her motions with his eyes, as he has done every day since he's been here. He wants to speak. He wants her to see him trying to speak. But she does not like him drooling while he eats, and so he doesn't try. Instead, he allows her to slip the spoon into his mouth. "There, that's good," she says, wiping the excess off his lips with one sweep of the teaspoon. Sometimes, when his mind doesn't play tricks on him, he imagines what it was like to eat real food. Steak, rare, with yuca fried in lard and half a loaf of bread, or his favorite, enchilado de jaibas, with a bowl of rice and plantains on the side, washed down with beer. He had gotten fat, a full 300 pounds in his prime. A man eats. There were days when he consumed 6 servings of paella for lunch and 2 steaks for dinner. And there were days when he was working so hard he ate like a nun. A ham sandwich, a bowl of soup. He ruled his appetites, not the other way around. Now he is being fed baby food. How he longs for a large piece of bovine flesh, stringy with sinew and marbled with fat. How he dreams every day of thick pork chops oozing with grease. He cannot bite, he cannot chew, he cannot grab the ribs with his hands. When he first arrived at the home, they pulled all his teeth. He remembers how easily they slipped out of his gums, one by one, with barely a jiggle of the dentist's clamp, then the sound of them clanging in the metal basin. The teeth were not worth fixing, they said, and feeding him would be easier that way. Mush, that is, baby food, a little apple juice, on occasion a cracker he can suck on. Meat, he can only dream of meat. Nurse thrusts another spoonful in his mouth. He barely tastes the split pea and swallows quickly. She follows with something sweet, a flavor he cannot recall. He blinks once, yes, and swirls the paste around, and won't swallow again until he can recognize it. Something from his childhood, when taste was an adjunct of eating. The substance is familiar to him on his lips, on the tip of his tongue, on the tissues of the inside of his mouth, its aroma filling his nostrils, a substance like a yellow light in his brain. His mouth is clamped in concentration, and just as he is about to name the taste, just as he is about to grasp the truth, Nurse tries to force the split pea through his lips. He blinks twice, no, and keeps his jaw shut. He is almost there. She jabs his gums several times with a spoon, all the while coaxing him to open up. Open up now. I don't have all day. Open up. You shouldn't be this selfish. The others need me. Open up. He avoids her eyes and voice, gentle and cheery, riding a crest of impatience, and concentrates on the taste that has filled his mouth, spread up his nostrils, and taken over his whole being. He can smell the past, smell his childhood, pungent and silky. See the sun through the branches of the tree he hid behind until his father, tired of looking for him, and headed home with anger swelling his forehead. He can smell the grove where he ate fruit that night and got so full he couldn't breathe. He can smell the sap oozing out of the tree trunks. Nurse is pressing with her thumb and middle finger on his mandible. She has done this before. Mostly she succeeded, but sometimes, on days when he felt particularly strong, he could keep his jaw clamped and she would, after a time, leave to feed the others, waiting like baby birds for her and her jars. But she wouldn't leave quietly. Nurse always had to have the last word. As she capped the jars and wiped the rolling table, she would say in a calm, condescending tone that he was ungrateful, that he was taking too much of her time, that next time she would send the orderly to feed him. Amadeo Terra is willing to resist forever. Have her pack her jars, her bib, and her spoon, and take them to her next case, willing to starve himself, as if that process hadn't already begun, in order to find in his memory the source of that taste. And just as Nurse is wiping his face one last time in her mock anger, she doesn't really care whether Amadeo eats or not, sleeps or not, lives or not. Mango appears. He swallows, closes his eyes. Mango! Yellow, pulpy, stringy, sticky yellow. Mango! He wants it, tubs of it. He wants all mango. Mango day and mango night, mango moon and mango sun, and mango sea and mango mountain and mango swamp. Nurse is mango. Home is mango. Amadeo Terra is mango. He opens his mouth wide. He wants mango. The fat around his throat is quivering for more. Mango! He yells with his eyes. Mango! He begs, blinking. Yes! Nurse notices, thinks she has won, and Amadeo is repentant. She smiles triumphantly. She rolls the table back into place, sits on the chair by the bed. Amadeo still has his mouth open, but now his whole being strains with the effort. If he could chirp, he would. He follows her actions with his eyes, watches as she places the tray with the jars on the table. The bib. Don't forget the bib. She starts with the split pea, spooning it in quickly and efficiently, as if she were feeding a coal furnace rather than a human being. Amadeo obliges, swallowing, anticipating. He is ready to do anything, eat lead if he has to, in order to get more of the sweet taste of mango. She collects the last of the split pea, sweeping inside the jar with a spoon, and jabs it deep in his mouth. She caps the empty jar and searches blindly for another, picks one that bears no resemblance to yellow, and begins to open it. Amadeo tries to warn her with his eyes, "Not mango, not mango." But she realizes it is still sealed, puts it back, and finds the mango finally. Amadeo has never felt such desire, not even as a young man, when the whole world